Welcome to another review and welcome to the inside of the Citroen C3 Aircross, a car that I was very excited to test because I loved it when I went to the launch. It had a lot to offer, very comfortable, very affordable, and a really good looking car too in my opinion. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the Citroen C3 Aircross. Now, I've always loved Citroen when it comes to Aircross because in those cars, they prioritize design, comfort, and practicality. And that's exactly what this C3 Aircross has. All of that. And that's what I really loved about it when I first drove it at the launch. So this car is very comfortable. We can speak about that first. And Citroens have also always been renowned with having a very comfortable drive. They've been at the top of the game when it comes to suspension, and even in this car I can't argue that, because when you're driving on the long road, on the highways, and even on these bumpy streets and that sort of thing, it's very composed, it's very comfortable, and even on the highway you get a bit of a wafty drive to it, which is not something you'd expect from those entry-level crossovers like this. And then when it comes to design, well, I think the design of this car can speak for itself. In my opinion, it's very, very good looking. I love the way that it looks. I love the way that they've made their new C3 a little bit more grown up in the sense of this crossover. So everything from that C3 is now a little bit bigger. So you've also got the Aircross-ness to it, where you've got the little square bumps on the side. Yes, you don't have the air bump technology for what they used to be famous for in the past, where there were these little plastic bubbles on the side of the car. I'm not upset to see that that's not there anymore, but I like that they've kept that element of that on this car too. Some other cool things about the design of this car is that it is available in a two-tone paint option too, so you are able to choose what you want, and I don't even think that it comes at an additional price. I think you are able just to choose that, which is also a really nice thing from Citroen. It also comes with 17-inch wheels. Now for me, having a crossover in this segment, you're always going to compromise. It's either going to have the space and practicality, but it's going to lack from a design point of view, or vice versa. But I think that they've really hit the nail on the head here, because the size of this car with the 17-inch wheels is a really good ratio, and it fills up those wheel arches nicely, and it doesn't leave it with a strange looking side profile of another car in this category, which I'll chat about when I talk competitors. And then onto the design, because the quirkiness doesn't stop on the outside, it's completely carried through onto the inside here too, and I love the way that this interior looks. Yes, it's all plastic, but that's what you're going to get in this category and at this price point. I mean, the top of the dash is plastic, the center is, the bottom is, the vents are, the top of the doors, the center console, everything is plastic in here. But it's how you've designed that plastic and how you've used it, in my opinion, is what makes it a standout interior and a nice place that you actually want to be in, even though you know that it is in the affordable car category and that you aren't kind of compromising by paying less for it. So I think it looks really nice. These air vents are quirky, they're a cool design. I love the pattern on the dashboards. I love the different colors from this bronze to the silver. I think it's all nice, it all works nicely together, and that carries through onto the seats too. Now these seats are also quite comfortable, but they also look good, and that's because there's different colors, there's different textures, there's contrast stitching, and everything comes together to work really nicely for this car. I love this interior a lot. And then there's the third thing about Aircross for me, and that's the practicality. And there's heaps of it inside here. Starting off in the front, you've got space for your phone to lay on a little tray here, all on its own. Underneath there you've got space for stuff. In front of that you've got cup holders. The doors have got bins that are big enough for big bottles. I think they're big enough for like a 1.5 liter water bottle, which is also really good and especially nice for road trips. You can pack a lot of water in here for refreshments. But the pièce de résistance, it's French, so I can say stuff like that. And I don't even know if I butchered it or not, but it's fine. The pièce de résistance for me in this car has to be the seat layout and what you can get out of this interior. Now, what I'm in here is the 5-seater Citroen C3 Aircross, but it also comes in a 7-seater. Yes, a car in this category with this quirkiness and at the price point, which we're going to chat about now, it comes in a 7-seater. Now, what's also good to know there is that when it is in its 7-seater form, you can fit 2 children in the rear, or like in the far back, as well as you can fit adults, but for a very, very short period. I don't think they want to be back there for too long. But the fact is, you've got the option to do that if you want to. And if you don't want the 2 seats in the rear, you can also just take them out completely, leaving you with a huge boot in the back there. And a little side note is that if you do opt for the 7-seater version of this middle row in the front, this middle row in the back here, if I said that right, is shifted slightly more forward in the 7-seater version than this 5-seater. So you're going to get a little bit more legroom for your passengers in the rear here in the 5-seater, but in the 7-seater, they're going to have a little bit less legroom, which I don't think you'll notice. But it's also going to make your boot even bigger. So in the 7-seater without seats, you are going to have a much bigger boot out of the 2 options you can choose from. The back seats also offer quite a bit of space. Now, as you can see here, I'm sitting in the back seat. The driver's seat is in my driving position, and I've got all of that legroom, I've got all of that headroom, and I can sit very comfortably. And the seats are also extra squishy. Go sit inside one of these cars and feel what I'm talking about, because you sit in there and it's super spongy. So it is quite comfortable, and I can only imagine that sitting in the back there with this suspension and overall offering, you're going to have a very good ride as a passenger in the rear. Now that's practicality, and those are the 3 things that make Aircross a great thing for me. Now, what's the point of all that design, practicality and comfort if you don't have a decent engine up front to be able to pull this car around? Now, the great thing here is that you do have a really nice engine up front there. You've got a 1.2 litre turbocharged petrol engine putting out 82 kilowatts and 205 Newton meters of torque. Now, a good thing to know there is that you're not going to get more power than that out of any other car in this category. This car, this Citroen C3 Aircross, has got the most powerful engine when it comes to torque out of any car or any of its competitors. Yeah, I'm going to put them all on screen now. You can look at all of them, and trust me, all of those cars have got less power in terms of Newton meters than what this does. And in a category like this, torque is the important number, because you need that low down power in order to carry this car and your passengers around. Now, you are going to do that very well here, especially with the fact that you can have a 7-seater and you can have 7 people in here. That 205 Newton meters of torque is going to make the biggest difference, and you aren't going to feel that in the competitor cars. So, I mean, if you look at the likes of the Suzuki XL6, that is a 6-seater, as well as the Honda BRV, which is also, I think, well, that's a 7-seater, but they've both got 1.5 litre naturally aspirated engines that have like 70 odd kilowatts and 130 Newton meters of torque, which in those instances you are going to feel the car feeling very, very slow, which is something you don't hear. So like me, when I'm driving on my own, this car feels quite zippy. You can definitely get the benefit of all of that power with just being you in the car. The car is much lighter, and it feels very light on its feet too. So you've got the comfort, you've got the performance, you've got the design, you've got the practicality. Damn, the list goes on for the Citroen C3 Aircross. I'm impressed. And putting all that power to the wheels is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Again, a first for any car in this category or of any of its competitors. None of them have a 6-speed automatic transmission, which is really, really nice. The rest have got CVTs or 4-speed autos. None of them are that great, but inside here, it's good to have 6 gears, because again, that also aids in your fuel consumption, and really good for when you are doing cruising speed. You can keep those revs nice and low. But it's all good having a 6-speed automatic transmission when you've got turbo lag, which I feel like you do have a sense of turbo lag in this car, which isn't great. But again, all I'm thinking of is I'm in this class and category of car. It's not going to be perfect, so I'll put up with that little bit of turbo lag in order to have all the other benefits that what this car shows. But it's not the perfect gearbox, because I felt like it's a little bit twitchy at the lower gears, especially in between first and second, when you're going really slowly, about to stop or just about to pull off. Not knowing whether to be in first or second, you can feel it's a little bit jolty, but I've only felt that a couple times, but it is just something I needed to mention anyway. Now, before I talk about the pricing, now please bear with me, have a little bit of patience, because it's going to make sense. I'm going to talk about what you're getting with this car. Now, starting up front here for the driver, you are getting a small little fully digital display, which is quite nice. It makes the car feel a lot more modern, and a car that you'd live with in 2024, because I think that's something that you'd want and something you'd expect, which is really great. And on your steering wheel, you've got also all the buttons and a button here to change the display. So you can change the type of things you want to see on here, from your fuel stats to your tire pressure monitoring system, to be able to see the revs or just the speed. You've got a couple options here, so you can set it up the way that you like it, so that you're either not too distracted, or if you want to see as much info as possible. And then working your way down the dashboard, you've got a really nice big infotainment. It's a 10-inch fully digital infotainment here that's got wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. It's also got a reverse camera. The car comes with park sensors, and it's really crisp, and I feel like it's quite responsive too. And the camera that they've used there is also really nice, because there's a lot of other more expensive, bigger SUVs like a Citroën that's got a worse camera than what this does. So props to Citroën. You are also getting height adjustable headlights, which is also a nice touch. So you've got the option to adjust them depending on the types of road that you are on. You can just kind of move the dial down here and it'll lift them up and down. Then going down the center console, you've got your aircon and obviously air control system. There's nothing digital about it. It's just the 3 rotary dials. But again, that's something you would expect in a car of this category. Although I do know that in the Grand Vitara, it does give you little digital displays. But I don't think that this is a deal breaker, and I think it's expected for when you're buying a car like this. The only one downside for me is that you only get one USB up front here. You do have a 12-volt socket that you could potentially put a little USB adapter into. But if you're getting digital displays and all the newer, nicer, cool tech, then give me a USB Type-C. That's something that I would expect. Now going into the rear, there your passengers are getting 2 USB Type-A's, which is cool. And again, I think that's been thought through, because you have more people in the rear there not being occupied by cool stuff up front, so they want to be on their phones and they can charge them at the back if they want to. Okay, fine, we'll talk about pricing now. So let me know in the comments what you think you would have to pay for a car like this. Now, I've spoken about the comforts, the unique design, the practicality, the digital screens, the engine, the most powerful engine in the category. It's got the most power. You've also got the only 6-speed automatic transmission in the category. Now, for all of this, from a brand like Citroën, with a really good service plan and maintenance plan included, what do you think you're going to pay? Let me know down in the comments. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you are going to be spending 345,000 Rand for this one that I'm driving in right now, the 5-seater. But if you want to opt for the 7-seater, throw in an extra 10K, and that's going to then set you back 355,000 Rand, which for me, that's the one to choose, because if you want the 5-seater configuration, take the seats out. But if you want the option of the 7-seater, put the seats back in, and you've got nothing more to worry about, and you can take your friends and family and kids wherever you want to with the most powerful engine in the category. Now, if you're in the market for a Citroen C3 Aircross, or any other Citroen for that matter, then go check one out on changecars.co.za. They're a website that sells new and used cars, but the best thing about them is that they vet and check every single dealership that sells cars on their website. So they know exactly who they are, they know exactly what they're selling, which means that they're always in control of the quality of cars that they're selling to their customers. The great thing about Change Cars' website is that it's also like a hub for everything automotive. So you can go and watch car reviews, you can get car buying advice, you can also do financial things like going to see what you can afford per month through their finance calculator, and you can even bring them quotes from dealerships that aren't on Change Cars, and not only will they match the quotes, but they'll beat it too. So go check out changecars.co.za. They're also a proud partner of Greg Dennis Reviews. Okay, and then on to the verdict in the form of the GDR test. Should you get it, drive it, or remove it from the list of cars that you're looking at? Now, I would say go and get it. If you're in the market for a sub 400,000 Rand, for a 350,000 Rand car that can seat between 5 to 7 people, there's not a lot out there, but I think with the versatility that you're getting here, the good looks that you're getting here, the comfort, the design, and all of the cool tech and spec that you're getting as part of this C3 Aircross, I don't think you're going to find it in any other car at the moment too. Not to mention the engine, that's the most powerful. Not to mention the 6-speed automatic transmission. I just think that this is an overall great product, and I love what Citroën have brought to the market at this price point, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. So thanks for watching this review of the Citroen C3 Aircross. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a little bit more about it, and hopefully I helped you in your car buying decision making process. And if you did, please will you drop a like below, and if you want to see more reviews like this and other car content, then please subscribe. And until then, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.